Imagine walking into an immigration court. You followed every rule. You showed up on time. You did everything right. And then, just as you leave the courtroom, masked agents grab you in the hallway and put you in a van. No warning, no explanation, just gone. This happened to real people, hundreds of them, and this week a federal judge finally said enough. Stay with us. Because what happened on May 19th, 2026 could change the way immigration cases work across this country, and it directly affects you or someone you know. Welcome back to Immigration Updates today. What we are covering right now is one of the most important immigration stories of this entire year. On Monday, May 19th, 2026, a federal judge in New York issued a ruling that shocked the immigration world. He blocked ICE, which stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, from arresting immigrants inside immigration courthouses in New York City. This is a huge deal. It comes after nearly a year of dramatic, emotional, and deeply controversial courthouse arrests that have been happening all across the United States. And it raises serious questions about what happens next, what your rights are, and what you should do if you have a hearing coming up. Let us break this down step by step. What was happening at immigration courts? To understand this ruling, you first need to understand what was going on before it. Starting in May 2025, under the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement policy, ICE agents began showing up at immigration courthouses across the United States. And they were not there to observe. They were there to arrest people. Think about that. People were going to their immigration hearings because they were required by law to appear. They were following the rules. And ICE agents, sometimes in plain clothes, sometimes wearing masks, were waiting for them inside the courthouse hallways, outside courtroom doors, even right after hearings ended. Arrests were reported in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Phoenix, Seattle, and many other cities. Videos went viral on social media. Some showed people being pulled away from their families in tears. Others showed agents arresting people who had no criminal history at all. People who were simply attending a routine immigration hearing. One widely covered case involved a 20-year-old student from Venezuela named Dylan Contreras, who was arrested in New York after attending a scheduled hearing. He had no criminal record. He was pursuing a green card. He spent about 10 months in detention before finally being released. This pattern caused enormous fear in immigrant communities. Many people stopped showing up to their hearings because they were afraid of being arrested. This made their legal situations far worse. If you miss an immigration hearing, a judge can issue an order of removal against you in your absence. The legal fight that led to this ruling? This did not happen overnight. Immigration rights organizations spent nearly a year fighting this in court. Groups like the New York Civil Liberties Union, the American Civil Liberties Union, Make the Road New York, and others filed lawsuits arguing that these courthouse arrests were unlawful and violated due process rights. In March 2026, something remarkable happened. The Department of Justice admitted in a court filing that the policy used to justify courthouse arrests was based on an error. They admitted that a May 2025 ICE guidance memo, which they had been using in court to defend the arrests, actually did not apply to immigration courts. The Department of Justice wrote in their filing, and I am paraphrasing here, that they deeply regretted this error. That admission changed everything. It gave the judge grounds to act. On May 19th, 2026, United States District Judge P. Kevin Castell issued a stay, which is a legal order that immediately stops something from happening. He ruled that ICE was likely acting in a way that was, in legal terms, arbitrary and capricious. He said that immigrants have a real and serious interest in being able to appear before an immigration judge without living in fear of being arrested the moment they walk out of the courtroom. What exactly the ruling says? Now let us be very clear and specific about what this ruling does and does not do. The ruling bans ICE from making most arrests inside or around 3 specific immigration courthouse buildings in Manhattan, New York. Those buildings are located at 26 Federal Plaza, 201 Varick Street, and 290 Broadway. The ban includes exceptions. ICE can still make an arrest inside those courthouses if there are extreme circumstances involving public safety or national security. But routine arrests of people simply attending hearings are now blocked at these locations. This ruling does not apply to every immigration court in the United States. It is specific to those 3 buildings in Manhattan. If you have a hearing in Texas, Florida, California, or anywhere else, ICE can still potentially make arrests in and around those courthouses. However, legal experts are pointing out that this ruling is significant beyond New York. It is part of a growing pattern of federal courts pushing back on what they describe as overly aggressive immigration enforcement. It sets a legal precedent that other courts and judges may look at when similar cases come before them. ICE's response and the alarming situation the next morning. Here is where things get even more serious, and you need to pay close attention to this part. The Department of Homeland Security responded to the ruling by saying, in their words, that nothing prohibits arresting a lawbreaker where you find them. They made clear they believe they have the right to continue these arrests and that they expect to win in court ultimately. And then, the very next morning after the ruling, something shocking happened. On the morning of May 19th itself, masked ICE agents reportedly showed up at 26 Federal Plaza, one of the buildings covered by the court order, and made at least one arrest. They detained a 21-year-old man from Honduras named Alexander just outside a courtroom on the 12th floor. A witness, a church detention coordinator, reportedly showed the agents a copy of the judge's ruling and told them they could not be there making arrests. According to reports, the agents responded by saying, and I quote their alleged words, "We don't care." A member of Congress, Representative Dan Goldman, released a statement calling this an outright defiance of a court order. He said that the Department of Homeland Security appears to think it makes up the law and demanded answers. The man who was arrested, Alexander, was later released after attorneys from legal advocacy organizations intervened. This tells you something very important. Even when a court order exists, enforcement on the ground may not happen immediately. The legal situation is still fluid and evolving. What this means for immigrants with pending cases. If you or a family member has an immigration case pending, here is what you need to understand right now. If your hearing is in New York City, at one of those 3 specific courthouses, the ban is now in place. It offers you a level of protection. But as we just discussed, that protection is not guaranteed in practice until there is stronger enforcement of the court order. If your hearing is outside New York City, this ruling does not protect you directly. ICE may still have a presence at or near immigration courthouses in your area. In all cases, missing your hearing is still a very serious mistake. Do not skip your hearing out of fear. An order of removal issued in your absence is far harder to fight than showing up and facing whatever may come with legal support beside you. The most important thing you can do is work with a qualified immigration attorney before your hearing. Attorneys can accompany you, document any unlawful conduct, and intervene immediately if ICE attempts something that violates the law or a court order. Also, if you are applying for any immigration benefit, a green card, asylum, or any visa, this legal landscape is changing quickly. Stay informed and stay connected with a legal professional. Here is what you should actually do right now, step by step. First, if you have an immigration hearing scheduled, do not cancel it. Consult with an immigration lawyer as soon as possible before that date. Second, if your hearing is in New York City, tell your attorney about this ruling and ask them to accompany you or send a representative. Third, if your hearing is anywhere else in the country, ask your attorney what the current situation is at your local court. Some other cities and states have also taken steps to restrict ICE access to courthouses, including Chicago. Fourth, if you witness an unlawful arrest at a courthouse, record it safely and report it to an immigration legal organization in your area. Documentation matters enormously in these legal fights. Fifth, do not share your hearing details on social media. Keep your hearing date and location private to protect yourself. Let us quickly go over what we covered today. Starting in May 2025, ICE agents began arresting immigrants at immigration courthouses across the United States, even people with no criminal record who were simply following their legal requirement to appear. After nearly a year of legal battles, a federal judge in New York issued a ruling on May 19, 2026, blocking most ICE arrests at 3 Manhattan immigration courthouse buildings. The Department of Homeland Security says they disagree with the ruling and plan to fight it, and reports suggest agents may have already violated the court order the very next morning. This ruling does not apply nationwide, but it signals a shift in how courts are looking at courthouse arrest policies. If you have a hearing coming up, do not skip it. Get legal help. Stay informed. And stay safe. This story is still developing. The legal fight is not over. And the situation on the ground is changing almost daily. That is exactly why this channel exists. To keep you informed with real, verified, honest information so you can protect yourself and your family. If this video helped you today, please give it a thumbs up. It helps us reach more people who need this information. Share it with anyone you know who has an immigration case pending right now. They may need this more than you realize. Subscribe to Immigration Updates today so you never miss a critical update like this one. We post regularly, and we always make sure you are getting the latest verified news. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay safe, and we will see you in the next update.